Good morning, everybody. Under the stars, it's Monday morning. And a few months ago, we identified on this channel a pattern of smile now and cry later in these eclipses that were showing up. And they seem to mark the beginning and the end of something. It seemed to actually mark the beginning and the end of the CV spamdemic. And it ended in this cry later phase of divisions, sorrows, draconian rule over the world. But it very much started out as something very different. We were just coming off of the heels of the Super Bowl, remember? And December 26th, there was an eclipse that seemed to look like a smiley face in the shadow that it cast across the earth underneath China. And they couched this as all of us coming together to help those that were suffering. And we were supposed to all be at home together and embrace the mandates and embrace the free checks that we got in the mail so that we could save lives, right? This is how they couched the initial part of the Smile Now, which happened and was kicked off during the December 26th eclipse. And then the cry later came during the June 21st eclipse, the summer solstice eclipse. And that was cry later. And why was that cry later? Because we had riots, division, we had cities in flames, chaos, small businesses going under, people threatened to be evicted, mandates, quarantines, separation from our loved ones. Cry later. And we found that there were these hints of what was to come, going all the way back to the smiley face Super Bowl halftime theme. Many of you will remember Beyonce dancing in front of the smiley faces at the Super Bowl halftime show. And then the stage had all these smiley face emojis. Remember that? And then we also remember that Lady Gaga sang this Charlie Chaplin cover song called Smile. And it was a quarantine cover song. So here are the videos that we did on the Smile Now, Cry Later, going back all the way to April. So you can see the titles there. I've linked these in the pinned comment so you could follow the rabbit trail. And many of you will remember back during the Obama presidency when we mapped out all of the school shrew-tings, we're going to call them, across America. There were like 50 of them that happened, 50 events in schools across America. And we mapped them all out across the United States, and a pattern emerged. Here's the video here. I removed it off of my channel to protect the channel, but I put it here on Daily Motion years ago during the Obama presidency. For those of you that think that I just pick on Trump, I pick on whoever's in power, because they are the ones holding us all back from making any change, because whoever the current president is, we believe, half the country believes them, and nothing ever gets solved because it's the right-left paradigm. Here it is right here on Daily Motion. You can see I uploaded this on March 3rd, 2016. And there's the smiley face in the map across America. This is unbelievable. Now, when we did that video, we didn't really know what the smiley face was yet. I just mapped them all out. And there it was. You turn the map sideways and you could see it very clearly. On each coast, as well as in the middle of America, is where they did these events. These middle ones here you can see are like in Colorado. Okay. And so this is the track record of the smiley face on this channel and identifying the occult meaning of the smiley face And I pinned this video in the comment as well, or in the pinned comments section. Now, what else is going on with this? Well, we were called crazy. We were called schizophrenic. I can't tell you how many people I had to block from the attacks that came fast and furious. But now, it's all starting to make sense, isn't it? We then look back in film history to see how the smiley face was always associated with virus, sickness, and death. It was in all of these different films. It was in The Howling. The smiley face sticker was the calling card of the viral sickness. When you get bitten by the wolf, you turn into a wolf, right? It's a virus. You saw it in the Goonies. Not the Goonies, but what's the other one? Where they multiply out of control when you pour water on them. And there was the smiley face on the refrigerator again. Over and over again, you see the smiley face. And someone also mentioned the smiley face killer. So all of this makes sense. Viral killers, viral disease, viral everything. It's all about the smiley face. It's sickness, it's death, it's a harbinger for evil to come. We even looked at the color yellow in its negative aspect, because everything has a negative and a positive aspect, right? And we found out that yellow can mean sickness. Well, now, our instincts that, of course, are gifted by the Holy Spirit, it's all coming to fruition now, as pop media is now talking about smile now, cry later. It's in full swing, and those are the videos we're going to cover today. We're going to cover Drake and Katy Perry videos. We're going to play them in slow motion. We're going to pull out all of the symbolism pointing right back to the smile now, cry later. And this is what this does is reinforcing the sorcery on American culture and the world for that matter. Now, I'm going to leave the sound off because I really don't want this stuff playing over and over again in your head. That's part of the sorcery. But this is where everything begins here in this Katy Perry video. Now we're going to look at Katy Perry first, and then we're going to look at Drake. Now, here's the obvious, and most decode channels, for the most part, will look at this black and white symbolism. The swirl, of course. The 3 and the 3 speakers, that's 33. But you guys, this goes way deeper than this. Let's get into this. 17 seconds in. This is the opening frames of the music video. You're going to notice the Joker, the clown archetype. More specifically, this is the diamond patterned Harlequin. Now, again, in the pinned comments, I posted the videos that we did on the Harlequin, but here is the Harlequin. And you notice the diamond patterns. Now there's a character, which was the Joker's girlfriend. Her name is Harlequin. But there's also the deep, dark history of the Harlequin. And you could see the same diamond patterns and the mask, of course. This goes back centuries. Okay? And we uncovered what the Joker actually means. The Joker archetyped and why that's being repeated right now. I encourage you, if any of this feels like it doesn't make sense to you, look at the videos in the pinned comments. Many live shows that we've covered up to this point, we're pointing toward where we're at right now. You also see this chicken. Now, this chicken in this context means something a little bit different than it normally does. And finally, in this frame, the smile. Now, here's the smile, but at 27 seconds into this, you see the cry later. Okay? So, name of the song's called Smile. But the way that it got to this is you're going to see this character come up named Sad Clown. So there's your smile now and cry later, okay? And of course, she picks the Sad Clown. This is her pick for this video game. Now, the backdrop of this particular music video is all about social isolation, social distancing. There's no one else in this music video with her. It's her sitting in a living room, and she's a gamer. She's gaming. Is that a window with like an eclipse in it? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But basically, they're reinforcing this idea that we don't really need people. We don't really need each other. All we need is fantasy land. And all you got to do is plug into your favorite video game or TV show, and we can just continue on with life as normal. What does that do? It reinforces their programming, because what you're going to be watching and playing on these video games is programming. And you can disappear into your own little fantasy land. And that's what's really being depicted in this music video. Then we get in here to 43 seconds. I'm going to make the, I want you to see the lyrics to this. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger with the subtitles. Blow it up to like 200% here. There we go. That should work. So, here's the blasphemy. She starts talking about rejection being part of God's protection. Okay, but she's not talking about people being rejected for standing up for God. She's not talking about people like us, who we're a very, very small part of the truth community because we stand up for God. She's not talking about us being rejected. She's talking about the misfits being rejected. And they like to reinforce the sin, which now misfits are becoming the mainstream. That's becoming acceptable. They're promoting that, right? This is the image of humanity that they want to project and promote and reinforce. Because then you bathe in your sin. You love your own sin. You don't need to change because that's God's protection, right? See the sorcery here. So let's keep going with this. Then at 107, now this is the part that just turned my stomach. Because she rides a chicken on a rainbow bridge. And we all know what the rainbow bridge is. Let's play this. Here she goes. She's riding this chicken on the rainbow bridge. And those of you with eyes to see know exactly what you're looking at. Here at 1:05, 1 minute 5 seconds, you count the 12 disciples and Jesus. Jesus becomes the chicken in their mockery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there's a guy's legs here. That's 11. There's 12, the 12 disciples riding on the chicken, which is Jesus. And they're on the rainbow bridge. Why is Jesus associated with the rainbow? Because when Noah released the dove from the ark, it did not return until it came back in the Holy Spirit when Jesus was baptized. Noah made a covenant with God of a rainbow, and that covenant began to become associated with Jesus, but they've flipped that around to mean something very different. And if you don't believe me about Noah being connected to Jesus, think about how many days and nights it rained. 40 days and nights during the flood. And think about how Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days and nights. Think about how the ark was a ribbed beast, holding beasts, animals, baptized in the waters, just like Jesus was baptized dunked in the waters. There are very many similarities between Jesus' forefather, Noah, and himself, as well as Jonah in between. Jesus talked about Jonah, the prophet. Now let's keep going with this, because this is Christ mockery, and I'm going to confirm it for you later in this music video. See how much deeper this goes than just the black and white symbolism and the 33s and the pyramids with all-seeing eyes? This goes very, very deep. Let's keep going with this. Now, we've got the 12 disciples. The one riding the chicken is probably Judas, the betrayer, right? Remember when Jesus said that the rooster will crow 3 times? Well, I'm going to explain to you the deeper meanings of what Jesus was getting at. Because there is a substance called hyaluronic acid, and it is in Wharton's jelly, which is a substance that only appears in the umbilical cord and the inside fluid of the eye, which is called the vitreous humor. And in a video that I just uploaded over the weekend, hyaluronic acid, they've done tests on it, and when they removed the hyaluronic acid from the amniotic fluid in the umbilical cord in the womb, scarring occurred. So, what they found scientifically and through studies is that hyaluronic acid is the substance that prevents scarring. And we told you that hyaluronic acid is what the chicken comb is made up of. This is this red part on the top of the chicken's head. It's called hyaluronic acid. It's bioequivalent, has the same molecular weight. And natural hyaluronic acid can be injected into your knee because it's the same molecular weight as what's inside of your knee. In fact, they use this for people with osteoarthritis. Do you see how all this fits in together? And this is why the elite call children chickens, because they're bathed in hyaluronic acid, which prevents scarring as they grow in the womb. And then after we're born into sin, born into this world, we start to deteriorate. That's what happens. So what they're depicting here, instead of Christ's sacrifice, these evil fallen ones ride their perverted rainbow bridge on the backs of the unborn children in the womb through termination, through using fetal cells for cancer research, and VCs. Also through young blood transfusions. Do you see how there's a light side and a dark side? Christ's sacrifice versus the other sacrifice. So, again, the clown riding the chicken is Judas, who was possessed by the devil. He was the Antichrist spirit. And this is how they mock him. Now, if you're just way out in left field right now and you're going, Casey, this is crazy. There's no way that this is what you're saying it is. Then those of you with eyes to see, maybe this will make it all sink in. At 1 minute and 10 seconds, the crucifixion position. Now, here you see the 3 nails that Jesus was crucified with. They're lit up, they're highlighted here in the corner. Something tells me we're not connected. Are we up to speed here? Hold on, let's keep going with this. Okay, looks like we're good. Okay. Now, those of you with eyes to see, you're already picking up all this. Because here are the 3 nails that Jesus was crucified with. Watch this part. She shoots out she throws these daggers which become the nails. Okay. Boom. The ego check is the egg check. play on words. There's always double and triple meanings in this stuff. Boom. Now watch this. At 1 minute 58 seconds, she shot out of a cannon. But this isn't just an ordinary cannon. There's more to this. On the cannon, you see the sun, the moon. This represents the sun and the moon roving about inside of the firmament. I believe that they are inside of the firmament. This lighting here becomes the firmament. So, they're trying to escape the firmament. They put the Antichrist inside the cannon. Here's the sun and the moon rotating around inside of the firmament. They're mocking the narrow gate here. She goes through the narrow gate, through the stars, as trying to escape the firmament. She goes through a pyramid and into the Saturn spiral. Look at this. There's the pie. Notice she does not get through the firmament. She's still under the big top. The big top is the firmament. She gets rejected. Why? Because she's holding the pie. What is the pie, Casey? This is the pie. We covered this like 5 years ago. I'm not going to leave this up on the screen long, but you see what this is. Read this title here. It's pie. Now, let's keep going with this. What was pi? It was the PEDO information exchange. It was a 1980s activist group and publication that openly promoted the practice. Rejected through the narrow gate, through the firmament. There's only one way to the Father, and that is through the Son. Now, this goes on as she's under the big top, under the firmament. She falls back to earth. Okay, look at this. Now, of course, there's images in the clouds. They're just images of animals that would be under the big top. More firmament confirmation, right? All the animals are under the big top. Okay. And then we get to 212, and look at this. See all the pink? That's the byproduct of pi. See the pink? And of course, she falls back to earth. She's unable to enter heaven. Puppets on a string. That's what these people are. And of course, they have to have a rock spider, right? What is a rock spider, Casey? This is a rock spider. Again, I'm not going to leave this on my screen long. There you go. You can't make this up. Let's keep going with this. And there's your rock spider. And now you're starting to see the connection. This is all about sacrifice. As she's doting over the pie, right? Now, at 2:28, 2 minutes and 28 seconds, you see the split personality. Now, we talked all about this. This is the trauma, the psychological split. We saw this in the film The Shining. Danny is psychologically split with Tony the Tiger, who's inside of him because of abuse suffered by his father. There is the split, the nested reality, right? Nested one within the other because of trauma. Okay. Now, We get to 2 minutes and 38 seconds, and you see this final scene of the 12 disciples and Jesus. And if you're counting, there's a little tiny figure right here in the middle, and that becomes 12. And then here's your Jesus is the 13th, which is the chicken, which is how they mock him. Okay. Now, you're going to notice that she's got these pearl earrings. Okay. What did Jesus say? Do not throw your pearls before swine. The pearl represents the pineal. There are calcification that occurs when a pearl is created. These crystals, calcite, and these very same calcites are found when you're born around your pineal gland. That is our lamp of our body. The eye is the lamp of the body. There's also a parable about finding a precious pearl. Okay? And what this represents is just an antenna. There's nothing inside of it by itself. It's an antenna to God. It's our signal. It's where we get our signal for the Holy Spirit. There's nothing you can do to it. In my opinion, you have to, this is a miraculous thing. It's when you give your life to Jesus, the Holy Spirit fills you, and it probably comes in through your pineal gland. So she's got these pearls around her ears, and to me, this is very obvious what this represents. And then, of course, the pie in the face. This would be your humiliation ritual. But this is when she's finally able to smile, when she gets the pie in the face. This is after she's been psychologically detached from the abuse, right? So, as you can see, there's much more to this music video than meets the eye. Now let's get into this Drake video. Now, Drake comes right out with this. So, Katy Perry was Smile, and Drake, 2 days later, comes out with Laugh Now, Cry Later. Same themes running through this one as well. Now, what this is he goes to this Nike World Headquarters in Oregon, NW, Oregon. Wow. And he shows up and there's nobody there. Watch this. Let's fix this up here. Turn on these subtitles. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So here's Drake with Laugh Now, Cry Later. Let's keep going with this. So there's this plant in the NWO, and he starts singing about, at 16 seconds, let's see here it is. Took a half and she took the whole thing, slow down. That sounds like swallowing a pill, which basically to me means believing the CV lie, right? Took a half and she took the whole thing down. And then he talks about taking a trip. Well, that's all of us. We're taking this trip. It's like a ghost town. We took a trip. Now we on your block, and it's like a ghost town. Well, that would be all the separation and quarantine, right? It's like a ghost town now. You go out and there's nobody around because we're all in our homes, because everybody's afraid, because we swallowed the pill. We believe the lie. The quarantine, the businesses shut down, the restaurants empty, locked in our houses. Then he goes into this gym inside Nike and he starts playing basketball, but it's all one-on-one. And that's kind of like what's happening in the NBA right now, right? They've got like spectatorless sports. Everybody's gone, right? So he's all by himself in this Nike plant, playing one-on-one with this guy, as the world watches as they watch this music video. So all of this should be looking very familiar right now. because all of this is reinforcing what we're all experiencing right now. Here he talks about the distance between us is not like a store. This isn't a closable gap. That's because we're all going to continue to social distance. This is not a closable gap. You see the confirmation. And of course, they've got him in these Nike stores and it's all empty and they can just shop and get everything they want. Well, this is like the smash and grabs that they're doing during all of the riots and stuff. Reinforcing the behavior, right? 1 minute, 5 seconds. Sometimes we laugh. Sometimes we cry. But I guess you know now, after time has passed, so we see the deception, but we're stuck with it, is what he's basically saying there. They want us to accept the pill that they've given us. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. Play this through a little bit. Unbelievable. All right. What happened? Got a 226. More looting and looting imagery, reinforcing all that. As they're in this Nike store, just filling up their baskets. Look at this. Their orange bags, full of bags, right? They're in the Nike store. Take your pick. $150 shoes. And you can see this Rona in the background. Let's see if I could get back to that part. See the Rona in the background? Let me pause it. I know it says Verona probably, but this Rona was put there on purpose. That's why it's blocked off right there in the back, right here. Rona stands for car owner. So then, of course, they've got to reinforce this mask face covering, right? Because that's part of it. And he's running on this treadmill with a mask on. It's like, seriously? It's so obvious. And Drake's going to make it cool. I'm cool to wear a mask, and so are you. So there you have it. Very similar themes. It's all about spamdemic. It's all about smile now, cry later. And this is how they couch things. It's all about getting you to accept things, and be conformed to this world and its standards and the lie. Okay. Now, after this show, I'll stay here for a little bit and answer some questions for you guys if you have any, or if there's anything I missed in these music videos. Love to see your guys' input on this as well. But after this show, I'm going to be uploading a little montage. And I'll do it as a premiere so you guys can all come back into the chat. But I will tell you, it's going to be very short. It's literally like 2 minutes long. And what it is, it's Billy Bob Thornton in 2014 in a series called Fargo. And in that, he mentions wearing a mask. He mentions being jabbed in the hand and the forehead. It is pretty much very cryptic. Now, in the series Fargo, I didn't do a lot of screen capture for Fargo because it's just in your face, blatant symbolism. Billy Bob Thornton plays the role of a hitman, and he's very dark and evil, and he makes all these biblical references to the plagues of Egypt as he terrorizes this guy and gets him to give him a bunch of money. And then he makes all these cryptic statements about the garden and how humans are able to delineate of all the colors in the color spectrum. We can see shades of green And he gives one of the guys that he comes in contact with a riddle. And he says, why is it that humans can see so many shades of green? And it was because in the garden is the serpent, and the serpent is green. We have to be able to see the serpent from the trees. See the forest from the trees, right? And he plays the role of basically the devil spirit, is what Billy Bob Thornton plays. And in this montage that I put together, this very short montage that I'll show you after the show's over, I'll probably upload it right after the show, so stay on the channel. You will hear in his own words him talk about putting a mask on and jabbing himself in the hand and the face. Because he's saying it in the context of being a dentist, but it's very, very telling. And all of this happened long before there was a CV-19. So let's go in the chat for a minute, see what you guys are up to. I appreciate you all showing up this Monday morning. All the new subscribers. And again, I've had certain people complain about the ads that play on my video. You don't have to watch the ads if you catch the live show. But if you can't catch the live show, of course you can skip the ads. But the ads keep us on YouTube for as long as possible. YouTube doesn't like channels that don't make them money. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's the way that you got to pay to play on YouTube to reach the most number of people possible. And of course, the stuff we cover disarms them and discredits these Google giants. And this is the small price we have to pay to stay on the platform. Just is what it is. Once most truth channels are wiped off the platform, we won't have a voice here anymore. So some of us have to stay here and fight it out. So that's why you see ads on my videos. It's because I'm very careful about how I say things, whereas many other channels are not. We code the way we say things. We rely on information between each other. So if you don't know what I'm saying, those of you in the chat help each other to understand what I'm saying. Do you see how that works? And that's how we have to operate. There are many, many times in the Bible, many precedents of people hiding in plain sight and basically going under the radar around the powers that be in their time, in the ancient times. So this isn't something that we're not allowed to do. Okay? This is how we do it. So that's why you see the ads on the videos. And for those of you that are on YouTube, you understand that any video you go to outside of the genre of truth, you're going to see the exact same thing. So I don't know why people have such a big problem with it. Maybe they're just trolling. I don't get it, but it is what it is. So let's go into the chat. Yeah, the dentist. There's another deep study, says Grace. Absolutely. So that's what's going on with that. The dentist angle with Mercury, 88-day cycle, cyclical cycle, solar cycle, I guess you could call it. That 88 comes up again. All right. What else do we have here? Yes, you can say things without saying them. Exactly, Tanya. And look, I have much respect for the channels that do just speak plainly, okay? But that's just a different method. You know, they're gonna probably be in danger of being wiped off, and then there will be no voice. So I encourage those channels to maybe try to be careful how you say things. You can still get the point across, as we did in this video today. We covered some pretty heavy content. Yeah, the laughing gas theme as well. Yes, with dentists. You know, it's interesting because there's another series called Nosferatu. It stars the guy who played Spock in the Star Trek reboot that just came out like within the last 5 years. And he plays this evil character who runs Christmas Land. And he again, thrives off of children. And this is where he gets his energy. Well, his henchman, the guy that he hires to do most of his dirty work, carries around this gas that's used, that dentists use. Okay? And this is how he incapacitates his victims and gets them to tell the truth. So you notice this theme of dentistry. So that's two separate shows we just talked about, where the theme is dentistry and children. All right, you guys, we'll be back on here tomorrow because we're going to talk about the hypocrisy of how the world is handling the CV-19. Yes, it is straight up hypocrisy. We're going to compare H and to the I to the V. We're going to compare that's been going on for the last, 40 or 50 years? And the annual mortality rate that far surpass, well, it's probably even with what they're telling us is the mortality rate of CV-19, right about 1 million a year. But yet, we didn't come anywhere close to treating H to the I to the V in the way that we treated CV-19. There were no quarantines, there were no stay-at-home orders, there was nothing like that for that illness. But yet, miraculously, we have to do that for CV-19. And there's, you can't even compare the two because at the end of the day, H to the I to the V it's treatable, possibly, but it's not curable. So you can't use that excuse that, there's a cure for it, because there is no cure for that. Once you get it, you're done with it. You're stuck with it. But yet they don't have, they don't fine people for kissing other people. They don't fine you for having, protected sex. They don't fine you for even having sex with someone without telling them unless they get it. Right? There are no laws and rules in place. Zero. There's your hypocrisy right there. A much more deadly disease where there are no rules, no quarantines for those people. That should expose it and blow it out of the water right there. So we'll cover that tomorrow. All right. Hopefully that came through and that was clear. I'm just reading in the chat for a bit before we pop off of here, you guys. Exactly, Chili Toes. And Chili Toes says, same with herpes. And you know what? You're absolutely right. Because here's the thing. Some people can get that, and I bet you 1% of them actually have very adverse events from that. Herpes can be a very deadly disease for some people. You see how this works? But yet they let that spread around. That's a very infectious disease, but they don't have any rules for that as well. So now you're starting to understand this is not about the disease. It's about control. It's about control. Why aren't people afraid of getting herpes? All right. I love each and every one of you. We'll be back on here tomorrow, exact same time. I'll continue decoding Fargo. I'm on season 2 now. Billy Bob Thornton is dead. He got taken out, or at least we think he is. He's like the devil, so he could come back. The guy lit him up with like 12 bullets, and he was still gasping for air. It was like he couldn't kill him, right? That was the season finale of season 1. I wasn't sure I was going to like the series, but I actually did. It got really high reviews and ratings, and I can't believe I never watched it to this point. I saw the movie Fargo, and I really like that, but I wasn't sure that was going to translate well into a TV series. So I just picked that up over the weekend, and we'll keep going with Fargo. I think it's 3 seasons total. I'll watch some today. And if there are clips to capture, I'll capture them and put together a montage for you guys. But I'll upload right after we get off here. I'm going to do a premiere upload, and get Fargo uploaded this clip about the masks and the forehead and the arm. I love each and every one of you. Take care and be safe, you guys. See you in a few minutes.